How good is the Insta360 ONE X2 when it comes to photo performance? My name is Greeny, this is Greenbox, and we are about to find out. We are in the Insta360 Studio and I have already pre-selected 5 photos I want to show you. This is a photo which was taken during the day, it was bright, and if I learned something over the last few years, it is that action cameras usually perform the best at bright light. So the only thing I noticed is the Insta360 Studio is limiting us when we want to zoom in, and this is kind of suspicious, and we will take a closer look at this at the raw files. So the next photo I took is this one, which was also shot on the same location but one day before when it was a rainy day and there was a little bit less light. The image looks fine. It has still this wow effect to it of a 360-degree photo, and you can do like this little planet thing, share it on Instagram and have fun with it. Then one more shot which was taken inside of a shopping mall, which also showcases the best case scenario for this camera, which is indoors where there are no details far away from the camera and all around lighting. So a bright scene and no far distances. And next up we have a night scene. Again, looks fine, and yeah, we see there are some droplets on the lens. This is due to the fact that it actually was raining. I could upload this to Instagram or Twitter and it would be fine. All right, so those are the pictures, and I have to say they look fine. They're totally okay. By the way, for those of you who don't know me and don't know why I'm all about photography on an Insta360, what I do is I do 360-degree photography, usually with my bigger camera. However, I like to have something small with me, which I can use when I go and do location scouting. Location scouting not only for shooting high-resolution 360-degree photos, but also for shooting regular video. And the reason why I bought the Insta360 ONE X2 was I had this idea of having a small 360-degree camera, which I can take into my pocket, walk around, do quick snapshots of locations, then at home at my computer look around in all those locations and find the perfect one for whatever shoot we are doing. So with that said, let's jump into Photoshop. I already went ahead and cropped out one half of the image because the Insta360 ONE X2 is recording both lenses onto the same raw file. So what we're currently seeing is one side, one lens, one sensor. So first of all, let's see if there is any noise which is really noticeable at the ground. But I would say overall the image looks fine. Also, sky is bright, there is some noise, but nothing I would really want to complain about. However, if we then zoom into the tree, wow. In this scene, yeah, details are not really there, noise looks fine. So let's move on to another shot. Here is the shot inside the shopping mall I said was the best case scenario, and I think it's really true. If we zoom into the ground, it looks super fine, like no noise at all. And if we zoom into the darker areas, we see, okay, there is a little bit of noise going on, some chromatic aberration towards the edge of the lens, but that's really okay for a fisheye. And if we then zoom into details which are far away, we again see that we not really see anything. So as I mentioned before, I guess the best case scenario for this type of camera with that resolution 5.7K is that you're inside somewhere where it's bright, so you don't have any noise, and all the details are 5 meters away from the camera, so you don't have details far away which are just becoming a pixel mess. Let's look at one more photo, which is a night shot I took, and I want to compare that night shot with the Insta360 Studio because I think the Insta360 Studio is doing a pretty good job, and you will see why in a second. And this night scene was shot with night shots, so with their low light enhanced settings, and yeah, it's dark. So let's increase some brightness here. So we should totally be able to do this. So let's increase the exposure. And oh boy, that is some noise going on there, also on the ground. Oh boy. So let's see if we can remove that. Details, remove noise. Noise is less, but we still have some color noise going on in the darks. So let's remove that noise too. And yeah, noise is gone, brightness is okay, but details, they are gone. This is the exact same shot, the same side, the same lens from the Insta360 Studio with their enhancements and noise reduction. And this one is actually decent. I think Insta is doing a pretty good job. Still, there is definitely noticeable noise in the darks, also color noise. It isn't a clean image by any means. Let's get to the third section of this video, in which I will tell you how I will move onwards from what we learned so far. And for that, let me open panoramas I took with my Insta360 ONE X2, my smartphone, and with my camera. And we are in here. We are using a web-based 360-degree photo viewer. So in here we are having the Insta360 ONE X2, and this would be how I would look at those 360-degree recordings and see if the location I'm scouting for another project is actually good. So if we zoom in, we see there's not really much detail going on, especially like with those ads, we see pretty well. We can't really read anything from the text on there. Then for a contrast, I did the same thing with my Sony a7 III. This is how that looks, and I used a 12mm lens, so this is like the closest thing I have to being super fast. And if we get to those exact ads, by the way, this video is not sponsored by any airlines. I wish it was, but it isn't. And if we compare it, like, yeah, we see that we have a lot more details on the camera. And you will say, yeah, obviously we have more details. It's a camera. Yes, you're right. But this is like the minimum level of detail I need when I do like those location scoutings. I need to be able to zoom in to this roof and be able to see, those are people on the roof. And unlike the Insta360, where I would say there is something on the roof, but I definitely don't see that those are people. Like stuff like that is important when I do scouting. I need to see things. I need to see details. And here is the point I will make now. I will most likely not use the Insta360 ONE for that use case. It's not good enough. The resolution isn't enough. Instead, I will use my smartphone like I did until now. Because if we take a look at how the smartphone is dealing with it, we see, yeah, looks decent. If we zoom in, yeah, it's harder to recognize that those are people, but definitely more recognizable than when we do it on the Insta360. But we will see that there is one big issue with the photos of the smartphone, and this is stitching, because stitching is messed up completely. While the phone has a messed up stitching, which the Insta obviously does not have, the phone is giving me a higher resolution. And you could say, yeah, but with the phone you need to stay there and take 20, 22 pictures, and with the Insta you just press a button and you have the photo. And that is partially true. When I was taking the photo, I figured out that taking photos with my smartphone takes just as long as when I take it with the Insta360 ONE. Reason for that is, with the smartphone, I walk into the middle of my scene and I take all those 20, 23 photos. With the Insta360, I need to get ready my tripod, then use the selfie stick, attach everything onto it, start the camera, connect it with my smartphone, walk away from the scene so I'm not blocking the shot. And once I'm away, I hope that the app is still connected to the camera, because app connectivity seems to be a problem right now, at least in the 3 days I tested it so far. Press the shutter button, wait until the photo is taken, which sometimes took over a minute. And I don't think it's the fault of the hardware. I think it's the app's fault. And then walk back, put everything back into my backpack and move on. And until I did all of those steps, I took my 21 shots with the smartphone. So this is unfortunately how I feel about the Insta360 ONE X2's photo performance. If you're just after these photos with the wow effect, like the little planet ones, or just being able to move around in a sphere and upload them to Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, yes, I guess it's a fine camera. It does that. But if you want to see details, if you want to be able to zoom around, if you want to use it for observation, sorry. Not what it is at this point. I guess there we need a few Ks more in resolution to do that. Let me know in the comment sections below. Was this closer look at the photo performance of the Insta360 ONE X2, was it too harsh? Or do I have a point when I say that the details, the resolution of the camera is just not good enough if you want to see more than the flat image? All right, I'm Greeny, this is Greenbox. Feel free to subscribe, like the video, click one of those videos. Bye!